I honestly thought you were a town meeting member.
Hi, Julie.
Well, I know that. But every meeting we have, some of them sneak up into the back and...
To be honest with you, that wouldn't help. I have no intent. Believe me, I have no intent whatsoever. Okay?
When I speak, I can take my mask
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
I don't want someone yelling at me.
I think you see if you approach it, facing people, then take it.
Yeah.
nothing to do with Holy Cross.
How you doing, Marco? Good. Okay, so we're doing. We have a quorum, so we'll be getting started momentarily. I want to thank everybody for coming and being here more or less on time. We've made some changes in the meeting. Hopefully that will speed things along. So why don't we start as we usually do with the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is right behind you on the 50-yard line. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Wayne, you can't stay behind the moderator. You've got to move down. You've got to go down to that section. The end section.
What's that? First order of business at the annual town meeting is to remember those town meeting members who have passed away in the past year. Michael Robideau, Precinct 3. Jeffrey Wharton, Precinct 2. Diane Malhurt, Precinct 5. Paul O'Brien, Precinct 3 and Precinct 5. Joseph Lux, Precinct 2. Paul Koski, Precinct 1. Robert Chapman, Precinct 3. Robert Newcomb, Precinct 3. Richard Hunt, Precinct 1. And Matt Smith, Precinct 1. If we can have a moment of silence for them. Thank you. First order of business, Article 1. To hear the reports of the Finance Committee, other town officers, and committees, or act on anything relative thereto. We'll have the Finance Committee first. Mrs. Kavanaugh.
Good evening, and thanks for your participation in the annual town meeting process. The Finance Committee has completed its review of the Town of Auburn's budgets and CIP for fiscal 2020, which you now have before you. I would like to acknowledge the hard work by our committee, and I appreciate their fairness in the annual budget process. The preparation for the budget before you started in January, before the advent of the pandemic and the current state of emergency. As state revenues have plummeted, the governor has warned Massachusetts cities and towns to expect a reduction in state aid from the original amount proposed, which in our case is $14.8 million, or 20.6% of revenues. In addition, our town can expect to see a reduction in local receipts from the $10.3 million, or 14.3% of revenues anticipated in this budget. At this time, the amount of the state aid reductions are entirely unknown to the communities in Massachusetts, as Beacon Hill has not given any indication of the size of the reductions. Rather than reducing the budget by an arbitrary amount, an amount that might be ineffective or unnecessarily detrimental, the decision was made to hold off on reductions and revisions until the state has provided more information. When we know what the reductions will be, then we will swiftly hold a town meeting and revise the budget accordingly. The $71.9 million 2021 budget before you represents a $1.6 million or 1.43% increase from the final 2020 budget. The proposed operating budget increases by $1.98 million over the prior year, and the largest increases in the operating budget include $768,000, or 6.7% increase in employee benefits, which includes a $400,000, or 5.3% estimated increase in group health insurance, and a nearly $328,000, or 10% increase in the Worcester County Retirement Plan. $742,000, or 2.75% increase in the school department operating budget, and $140,000, or 12.5% in solid waste. The current contract expires on 6/30/2020, and the town is soliciting and evaluating bids for the next contract. Warrant articles before you tonight include various standard annual articles, repurposing CIP articles, articles granting easements that would advance the sale of the Mary D. Stone School, and other requests. The annual $500,000 contribution to the OPEB trust account is being deferred at this time and will be revisited at the fall town meeting. Regarding the warrant articles, the Finance Committee takes the following position. Articles 2 through 11, yes. Article 12, no position. Articles 13 through 22, yes. Article 23, defer to petitioner. Articles 24 through 30, yes. Respectfully submitted, Ann Kavanaugh, Chairman, Edward Coldman, Mallory O'Brien, Kevin Kennedy, Trevor Sansucci, and Michael Marshall.
Thank you. Ms. Jacobson?
Good evening, town meeting members. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Thanks for your patience with our new system due to COVID-19 this year. We wanted to ensure that you were all safe and healthy when you came, so we really are grateful. I also want to point out that we have a number of town meeting members who are participating from their cars. Their votes will be counted by counters that will go through that one section. Like you, they have paddles to hold up, so we wanted to make sure that they had extra protection if needed. So to not take up too much of your time, I just want to point out a couple of things. As you know, myself, I'm not doing any presentation tonight. The school superintendent, Dr. Mary Ellen Brunel, is also not giving a presentation tonight. Our presentations were pre-taped, and they were on the town website, and they remain there. There's also copies in your package, and we have some extra copies up there if you want them. I also would like to just point out that the Board of Selectmen is not here this evening, and it is only because we asked all those non-voting members if they didn't want to attend, it would cut down on the numbers that are here. So the Board of Selectmen sends their wishes. They included their position on each of the warrant articles, and that is in your package. So that should eliminate that section also. So I hope you all feel comfortable being here. I hope you feel that we've taken precautions to keep you safe. And if any of you or your family members have been impacted by COVID-19, we give you our thoughts and our prayers. Thank you very much. And we will be here to answer any questions. A little bit different setup, but I will let you know that we just have department heads here this evening. We did not ask all of the division heads, but we're all here who can answer your questions. So when we get through the articles, we're still able to answer anything that you need. Thank you, and have a good night.
Mr. Scobie?
Welcome, town meeting members, friends. I hope you are all well. It looks as though you are. It's great to see you all. Thanks for everyone who put this together tonight. This really looks great. Took a lot of organization. The reason I'm up here, this is not officially Dr. Mary Ellen Brunel's goodbye. That'll be about a month from now. But I think this is probably the last time that a lot of you are going to have the opportunity to say goodbye to her. So on her behalf, I just wanted to say a few words. I think she's done outstanding things for this district. She's taken great care of our most precious commodity, our children. She's worked incredibly well with the town in general, all town employees, all town departments. She's been a friend to the school committee, and I think a friend to every committee in town. And I think she's going to be greatly missed. So I just wanted to take this opportunity for us to all say goodbye officially as a town meeting and just wish her well. So at this time, if you just join me in a round of applause for Dr. Mary Ellen Brunel. Thank you so much. Stay safe, everyone.
Now to review some of the things that we will do tonight. First of all, from articles, when we get to Article 6, I'll entertain a motion to waive the individual readings of 6 to 11, or Mr. Baker will. Please have your cell phones off. If you want to speak, please raise your hand or stand up, actually would be better in the field. And when I recognize you, come to the microphones, which is here. I don't know where the rest of them are. Oh, there's one in front of Mr. right here, right on the 50-yard line. Okay, please identify yourself by name and precinct for the records. And if you're in favor of the motion, please raise your green paddle. If you're opposed, please raise your red paddle. Should an article need to be counted, we will then appoint a few counters and keep your hand raised with the red paddles for the count. If you are here and are not a town meeting member, please sit behind me in the bleachers someplace. Also, I just want to mention this, is that we do have restrooms available and open tonight. The building you see over there to my left has a men's room and a ladies' room, and it is open. You can walk down to about where that camera is down there, and you can walk around the pathway, the tarred pathway to get there. Thank you. Article 2, to see if the town meeting will vote to fix the salary and compensation of elected town officers or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion?
There is, Mr. Moderator. Charlie Baker, Precinct 3. I move that the town meeting vote to fix the salary and compensation of elected town officers for fiscal year 2021 as follows. Town Moderator, $296. Selectman Chair, $1,740. Selectmen, four of them, $6,097. Town Clerk, $76,732.
Is there a second? Second. There is a second. Any questions? Not seeing any then? All those in favor? Excuse me, why don't we do it this way? All those opposed, raise your paddle. I don't see anybody opposed. So all those in favor, raise your hands, paddles. Okay, it is a vote, unanimous. Article 3, to determine what sums of money the town meeting will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, or otherwise provide for and appropriate to defray charges and expenses of the town, including debt and interest, and to provide for a reserve fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, and ending on June 30th, 2021, or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator. I move that the town meeting raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, or otherwise provide for and appropriate to pay town debts and charges for the ensuing year. The several sums of money in the proposed budget, as stated in the recommendation of finance columns on pages 22 to 66, inclusive of the Town of Auburn fiscal year 2021 budget and annual town meeting warrant totaling $67,758,400, and to raise said sum by transferring from available funds $15,000 from cemetery lots and graves, $25,000 from pension reserve, $3,000 from wetlands funds, $45,000 reserved for appropriation dog licenses, $50,000 reserved for appropriation Casella host agreement, $942,000 from reserve for appropriation ambulance, $20,000 from overflow trash bags, $78,302.58 from high school, middle school debt reserve, $5,000 from perpetual care. And by raising and appropriating or otherwise providing for the balance of said funds, each total amount as printed in the recommendation Finance Committee column of the 2021 budget to be considered a specified departmental appropriation. And further, that the Finance Committee is authorized to transfer between the individual's accounts which total any specific appropriation when requested by a department and the committee feels such transfer is in the best interest of the town.
Is there a second? Second. There is a second. Mr. Kazanovich?
I'm going to don my mask so I don't fog up my glasses so I can read here. Good evening, Mr. Moderator, Board of Selectmen, School Committee members, Finance Committee members, Town Manager Julie Jacobson, School Superintendent Mary Ellen Brunel, Town Department and Division Heads, Town Meeting members, and our Auburn Town residents. I want to thank you all for attending tonight. For some, it may have come with much consternation, given what we have all experienced and endured with COVID-19 over the past 3 months. I want you to know that town administration has and will continue to keep everyone's health, safety, and well-being in mind when scheduling and conducting town meetings in a way that minimizes exposure to the virus. Again, a sincere thank you for your participation and attendance tonight at tonight's annual town meeting. Finally, I would be remiss if I let the evening go by without recognizing Superintendent Mary Ellen Brunel, who is retiring on June 30th. It has been a pleasure working with you, Mary Ellen, in a professional and personal capacity since your appointment as superintendent. Thank you for your service, dedication, contributions, and commitment to the Auburn school system, as well as the entire community. In addition, over the years, we have developed and forged a friendship that will carry on into the future. On behalf of myself and the entire town administration, we wish you well, good health, and prosperity in your retirement years. On to business. The budget process for the next year and beyond comes with a high level of uncertainty. When projecting state and local revenue estimates, that is critical to offsetting the town's annual appropriations. It remains unclear when state and local governments will rebound and return to a healthy fiscal condition we all observed pre-COVID-19 pandemic. Preliminary estimates by the Taxpayers Foundation have state revenues declining as much as $8 billion. This news is grim, considering what the trickle-down effect will have on local municipal government and the potential devastation it may have on annual operating budgets. We know that the governor's estimates used in the recommendation budget before you tonight will not hold, and we have already begun to examine and analyze other reduced budget models. This budget recommendation will allow government to continue to provide the essential services that our residents come to expect beyond June 30th. We are prepared to take swift and immediate action once revenue estimates are known, and are planning on making revenue and budgetary modifications to balance our FY 2021 budget. Town administration would like to convey to you, our town meeting members, that we want to put you on notice that we may be seeking a special town meeting mid to late summer to implement these budgetary corrections. To wait until the fall town meeting would cause more budgetary harm than good when dealing with the potential loss of personnel coupled with departmental line item reductions. We remain focused and ready to address all aspects of the budget once information is made available. Thank you for your patience and understanding. I will now highlight the aspects of Article 3 contained in what you received in the mail labeled Annual Town Meeting, Article 3, CFO Presentation, including all other articles presented to you this evening in the warrant. I apologize for not having an overhead, but due to the weather conditions, you wouldn't be able to see it. So I'm hoping that you can rely on the handouts that we gave you and try to follow through as best you can. I'll try to be brief. It's probably about a 10-minute presentation. What's before you tonight is a request for total appropriations of $71,930,096.02. There's an equal amount of revenue estimated and recommended to you that leads us to a balanced budget. Our local receipts portion of the revenue is up 3.70%, or about $367,000. Cherry sheet revenue, using the governor's estimates, which we know are going to change, led to an increase of $509,390, or 3.56% increase. Our tax levy is up roughly $1.150 million, an increase of 2.79%, and our debt exclusions raised outside the levy limit is up $4,200, or just under 0.20%. Our available funds are down roughly $1 million, or a reduction of 35.07%, once again leading to total revenue increase of $1,000,000 $13,196.70, increase of 1.43%. As we break down our revenue sources, our tax levy of $42,069,890 represents utilization of Prop 2.5 of about 59%, or taxes $691,889 of potential 2.5. We're using an estimated new growth, what we thought was conservative, $450,000. We may not know what that amount is until early summer, but there is some uncertainty due to the COVID-19 disruption. Certainly things came to a screaming halt in the early weeks of March. We're estimating our new growth at 450, despite our 5-year average of 786,000. We always make a correction at the fall town meeting, hoping to use anything above 450 to offset any increases in taxation. We're using 1/10 of 2.5 towards our capital budgets, and we're raising 2.8, almost 2.9 million outside of the levy to fund our debt and interest payments for the Auburn High School and Auburn Middle School. Total level of taxation, we're not taxing at 100%, we're taxing at 86.74, which means our excess levy for FY21 would increase to roughly 6.428 million, leaving 13.26% of unused levy capacity. Our 10-year history for excess levy in level of taxation, over the 10-year period, we haven't taxed at 2.5. We actually saved our taxpayers over that 10-year period roughly $34.5 million. Continuing with revenue, looking at our cherry sheet state aid under the governor's recommended budget, it's $14.816 million. This will likely be amended down in the coming weeks. The total cherry sheet revenue increase over the current fiscal year was $509,390. Our local aid, unrestricted local aid in the governor's recommendation was 2.8% higher than it is currently. We have an increase of Chapter 70 of $356,096. House Ways and Means, as well as the Senate numbers, aren't going to be known until the governor releases his revised numbers. That's going to be probably not till midsummer. The governor's cherry sheet assessments are increased over the current fiscal year. These are additional expenditures that we have to absorb of $28,346. We're also expecting that to change as a result of the economic disruptions due to COVID-19. Our available fund revenue source estimates total revenue of $1.868 million. Of that, $1.242 million is coming from ambulance receipts. $942,000 of that is going towards the operating budget. $300,000 of that is going to the annual CIP for an outright purchase of a new ambulance. Sewer retained earnings is being utilized of $200,000 to offset 100% of sewer enterprise capital costs. Same can be said for Packagug Golf Course. Those capital items are being offset through a retained earnings vote of $45,000. And we have a debt exclusion DE1 offset of $78,303 to reduce the amount of debt and interest payment for our school projects. On the local receipt side, we're using currently a recommendation of roughly $10.3 million. I can tell you that we are definitely going to expect a revenue loss in the areas of hotel motel, meals tax, we're expecting a reduction, as well as motor vehicle excise. There's been no activity. Our restaurants have been closed. Our hotels have been closed. car dealerships have been closed. We're expecting a revenue loss. To what extent, we don't know, and how long that will last. Moving on, we have local receipts of, in addition to those revenue losses, we're level funding all other local receipts at this time based on our FY 2020 approved values by the Department of Revenue. Certainly, we will update those as we approach the end of the fiscal year, and those certified values have to be approved by Department of Revenue. When we look at our total revenue breakdown, our tax levy makes up roughly 58% of all of our revenue collections. Our cherry sheet makes up roughly 21%. Local receipts makes up 14.31%. Our available funds makes up 2.60%. And our debt exclusion makes up 4.01%, for total revenue sources of $71,930,096. That's up 1.43% over current fiscal year, or $1,013,196.70. Moving on to the expense side of the budget, we have recommended appropriations of $71,930,096.02. Those recommendations can be found in your warrant booklet, as well as a presentation that was included and mailed to each town meeting member. Going through the expenditures, some of the highlights. The recommended budget meets all of our contractual wage obligations. It also has a set aside in our wage reserve account for a union contract that was not settled at the time when this recommendation was made. It has since been settled, and we will make a correction at a later date, or we'll bring a transfer before the Finance Committee. This budget increases our group health insurance by $400,000 or 5.3%. It increases our Worcester Regional Retirement Assessment by roughly $327,000, 10.01%, and takes advantage of a one-time reduction in payment of $66,420 if that payment is made by July 1 of 2020. It increases our Medicare to meet our 1.45% employer match. It meets all of our long-term debt and interest obligations. This budget assumes a permanent long-term bond issue that is going to take place in September. Certainly, we're going to have to revisit that given the disruption of the economy, whether or not we short-term borrow or we would be prepared to go to market. This budget provides for all costs associated with our debt exclusion votes, and it provides for a level assessment for our Norfolk Agricultural School, outside district placement for 2 students. This provides for an increase based upon a recommended budget we received from BayPath of increase of $86,152 over current year. That's an 8% increase. Certainly, that may change due to a different distribution of Chapter 70 or whatever state numbers are ultimately released. It adequately funds our motor vehicle and our utility accounts. This budget, as stated by the chairman of the Finance Committee, is going to postpone any recommendations for OPEB under Article 12 until the fall town meeting. And there's no current appropriations under or made for stabilization. This uses the governor's budgeted cherry sheet charges and assessments. This budget, once again, applies all of our adopted financial policies as approved by the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee. And this budget also includes under Article 4 a total request of $2.625 million for our 5-year CIP plan, which intends on utilizing $720,000 of that 2.6 from bond proceeds to fund our capital needs. If we look at our expenditures and break that down by function, I'm just going to highlight some of the larger ones since the pie chart is included in your warrant. Education, which does not include any indirect cost, represents roughly 40.18% of total expenditures. Employee benefits makes up 16.99%. Public safety makes up 11.37%. Public works makes up 8.18%. And debt and interest makes up 7.76%. And there are other various functions of government that make up the difference. Total appropriations before you tonight, $71,930. $71,930,096.02. That's up $955,673.12, or 1.35% over current fiscal year. In summary, on the budget recap, we have total appropriations and total revenue, once again, of $71,930,096.02. It is a balanced budget, and the unused or unobligated portion of Prop 2.5 is $480,029.09 that we do not intend to recommend at this time. Mr. Moderator, that concludes my presentation, and I will now turn
Thank you.
it over to you. Thank you very much.
Now, if you don't mind going to page 20, I'm going to read the budget, the account code, and the total. 114, moderator total, $296. Selectmen total, $11,287. Town manager, office of the town manager, $398,469. 131, finance committee total, $815. 132, reserve total, $300,000. Finance department total, $756,412. Law total, $145,000. Human resources, $79,098. Information technology, $229,873. Town clerk total, $184,294. Number 162, election total, $33,594. 192, town hall total, $50,500. Number 199, general services total, $1,441,871. School, number 201, $27,676,055. Number 210, police, $4,768,626. 220, fire, $3,408,347. Emergency management, number 291, $15,500. Number 302, Bay Path, $1,162,630. 303, Norfolk Agricultural, $63,000. Number 411, $585,893. Developmental inspections total, $680,190. 176, appeals total, $13,717. Department of Public Services, $1,267,762. Number 542, 130, Youth Commission, $133,575. Number 710, $4,372,659. Number 752, interest, $1,208,518. Pension total, number 910, $12,219,942. In the bottom total, $67,758,400. Now, are there any questions?
It's Kathleen Gannon, Precinct 3. When you were reading, you skipped solid waste, 433. I don't know if it matters if you have to say it out loud for the record or not.
What number?
433. Oh, sorry.
I got it. Okay, number 433, the solid waste total, $1,250,477. Thank you. Anybody else have a question? I don't see anybody over by the cars that has a question. Then I'm not seeing anybody questions. All those in favor, raise your green paddle. All those opposed, your red paddle. This is a majority vote, by the way. All set? Then it passes. Majority vote. I have to wait till I get something from the cars over here. So we're back to the... Yeah, they're all set, yeah. No, I got that back. Okay, Mr. Baker's going to make a motion.
I move for this annual town meeting to vote to accept, in accordance with the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 39, Section 15, on any motion requiring two-thirds favorable vote by statute or otherwise, shall be determined and declared by the town moderator, and account shall not be taken unless requested by the town moderator or requested by 7 or 4 voters in attendance. This motion is only for this meeting. Number 23 in the warrant is for subsequent meetings.
Is there a second? Second. Any questions?
Just a question about the 7. How does that go about? If one person puts up their hand, do you look around and see if you got 7 others, or?
What I think I'm going to have to do is ask if there are 7 people voting against it, which I will ask first. Okay?
Okay.
I'll count how many people are against it.
So if you have a problem with it, you just stand up and you'll take it from there as far as asking for other 7 others.
When we're ready for the vote, I will ask all those opposed to please stand up so that we're perfectly clear.
Okay.
With their red card up, just so we don't make a mistake.
Okay. Just to clear it up.
I'll remind you of that. I'll remind you every time it happens. Anybody else with a question? Okay, this is a majority vote. All those in favor, raise, oh, everybody's time to vote. Raise your red or your green paddles. Green is yes, red is no. Thank you. I gotta wait for this. Thank you. We're all set. It is a vote. It passes. Article 4, to see if the town meeting will vote to approve a capital improvement budget for fiscal year 2021 to determine what sums of money will be raised by taxation or otherwise appropriated, transferred from available funds, acquired by lease purchase contract, authorized to be borrowed or otherwise provided for to fund the fiscal year 2021. Capital improvement budget to determine under whose direction the expenditures of said money from time to time for notes, bonds, or notes in anticipation of bonds or revenues to be payable and not any premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any such cost approved by this vote in accordance with the Massachusetts general laws. Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion?
I move that the town meeting approve the 5-year capital improvement plan for town manager, information technology, town clerk, planning, police. Just a moment, please. Okay. Planning, police, fire, engineering, fleet maintenance unit, highway, sewer, cemetery, senior center elder affairs, library, parks, Auburn Community Television, Packagov Golf Course, and schools as stated on pages 68 through 76 inclusive of the Town of Auburn fiscal year 2021 budget and annual town meeting warrant, and further to approve an appropriation of $2,625,596 to fund the fiscal year 2021 capital improvement program as specified on pages 67 through 76 under the column entitled Finance Committee Recommendations, and to raise said sums by borrowing and appropriating the sum of $1,228,216 from general fund revenues, $30,000 from CIP expendable trust, $300,000 from ambulance proceeds, $200,000 from sewer enterprise retained earnings, $102,380 from cable access enterprise retained earnings, and $45,000 from Packagok enterprise retained earnings. I also move that the town meeting authorize the borrowing of $720,000 for a period of up to 10 years for the items as identified in the 5-year capital improvement plan, and any premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any such premium applied to the payment of the costs of issuance of such bonds or notes may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount. I further move that prior to purchase, all over-the-road vehicles shall be marked on both front door panels as property of the town of Auburn for official use only, and have a permanently affixed town seal, and the expenditure of funds to be so appropriated shall be under the direction of the Chief Procurement Officer of the town or school department.
Is there a second? Second. We have a second. Are there any questions?
Ken Frost, Precinct 4. I got a question on the Packagug Golf Course, $45,000. Is that going to be paid by the revenue from the golf course?
Mr. Kazanovich?
Mr. Frost, that is recapped as coming out of retained earnings for the Packagug Golf Course. That is revenue generated strictly by the golf course. You are correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I don't see any. All those in favor, this is the 2/3. So what we'll do to make sure we don't make any mistakes is ask the people who are against this to stand up and hold up the red portion of their paddle. All those in favor, well, all those opposed, stand up and hold it up. Thank you, Mr. Okay. We have one opposed to it. So therefore, it's a 2/3 vote. Thank you. Page 77, I believe, is our next page. This is another 2/3 vote to see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the town treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of revenue to be received during the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021, and to issue a note or notes that may be given for a period of less than 1 year or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion? Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 5 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Second. We have a second. Are there any questions? There being none, all those opposed, please stand up and hold your red paddle up. Uh-oh. All those in favor, hold up your green paddle. It's a unanimous vote. Well, you could get us an umbrella or something, you know. Okay, we have another motion that's not in the book. Mr. Baker?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town meeting vote to approve Articles 6 through 11 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Second. There is a second. All those opposed, raise your red paddle. All those in favor? Yes.
Tom Dufour, Precinct 5. Just point of order, are we going to invite discussion on the
Yes.
motion?
Yes. They're just all going to be read at one. You have a question on number 7, that's what you'll ask, so that we'll know which one you're questioning or whatever the number is. Anybody else? Have a question? Not seeing anything, any? Then all those in favor, raise their hands. We'll go that way. All those opposed? It is a vote. Article 6, I plan to read 6 through 11 right now. Article 6, to see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to submit applications for any available state or federal funds, including Department of Elder Affairs formula grants, which funds the board determines to be beneficial to the town, and to authorize expenditure of any money received on such applications. Article 7, to see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to sell at public auction or to be sealed bid or at excess value under special circumstances any properties which the town may have acquired or may hereafter acquire through tax title foreclosure proceedings, and to sign, acknowledge, and deliver in the name of, under the town seal of the town, deeds, therefore, or act on anything, deed for. To see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the town treasurer to enter into compensatory balance agreements during the fiscal year 2021 as permitted by Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F, or act on any other enabling statute. If voted, this would permit the treasurer to maintain specific sums of money in deposit in banks in return for banking services. Article 9, to see if the town meeting will vote to establish or renew revolving funds for various town and school programs in accordance with Massachusetts general laws. Chapter 44, Section 53D in Massachusetts general laws, Chapter 71. To see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the town manager, Article 10, to enter into contract with the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for the construction and maintenance of public highways for the period commencing July 1st, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021. Article 11, to see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate from available funds a sum of money, if it becomes available, from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Chapter 90 bond issue proceeds, to be used for the repair and maintenance of town roads in conformance with the Massachusetts general laws. We've had a motion on this, and we've had a second on this, I believe. Mr. Kazanovich?
Once again, because the town meeting member was asked, these warrant articles are being clustered together for the purposes of, moving this meeting along. But these are standard annual warrant articles that go before you every year, and that's why they're being done as one motion.
Any questions? Not seeing any then? All those in favor raise their hands. It's a majority vote. Raise your paddles, excuse me. All those opposed, raise their paddles. It's a vote. Article 12, to see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate $500,000 of the other post-employment benefits liability trust fund, or act on anything relative thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to postpone this article indefinitely.
Is there a second? There is a second. Any questions? Not seeing any? All those in favor, raise your green paddle. Those opposed, your red paddle. This is a majority vote. It's a vote.
Mr. Moderator, I've been asked by the town manager that we move to take Articles 24, 25, and 26 out of order in case something happens and the meeting is going to have to be, postponed a bit. This has to be done this evening. So that's why I'm moving that we take Articles 24, 25, and 26
It was
out
a
of
majority,
order.
yeah. If there is there's a motion, there's been a second to put in Articles 23, 24, and 25 to go on those.
No, 24, 25, 26.
Okay, Article 24, 25, and 26. Article 24 is found on the bottom of page 79. Anybody have a question on that? I don't see any. So I guess we're on Article 24. Mr. Baker. Oh, to see if the town meeting will vote to accept a permanent, non-exclusive access easement for vehicular and pedestrian traffic. Didn't we take a vote? No. Oh, all those in favor of moving the articles, raise your hand. Raise your paddles, excuse me. Red or green? All those opposed? It is a vote. Sorry about that. Thank you. Article 24. To see if the town meeting will vote to accept a permanent, non-exclusive access easement for vehicular and pedestrian traffic to pass and repass over and upon that portion of land consisting of 4,213 square feet, more or less, and labeled proposed access easement, the access easement area shown on a draft plan entitled Easement Plan dated March 11th, 2020, and prepared by Penrose Properties, LLC, by Niche Engineering, a copy of which has been submitted to the town meeting members, is on file with the Auburn Town Clerk. Acceptance of this access easement as proposed shall be made upon such terms and conditions that the town manager shall solely determine in the best interest of the town, but which, at minimum, shall include a condition that Penrose Properties, LLC, and its designee, successors, and assigns shall be obligated to maintain in good condition and repair the access easement area as needed from time to time without cost or expense to the town of Auburn, or act on anything relative thereto. Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 24 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Second. There's a second. Are there any questions on this, Mr. Baker?
Mr. Moderator, I've been asked to make a motion to amend the motion on Article 24. I move to amend the motion for Article 24 by striking the words 4,213 square feet, more or less, and inserting in place thereof the words 4,240 square feet, more or less.
Is there a second? Second. Questions? Please come to the mic.
Danny Lodges, Precinct 4. Where is this access? Am I missing this?
Ms. Jacobson?
Thank you, Mr. Largess. This article, number 24, is to grant access, pass, and repass over the driveway that goes from the town hall parking lot down the slope toward the parking lot behind the Mary D. Stone School. We are seeking this easement to allow cars to get to the field if there are drivers or passengers who are handicapped and need to use the handicapped spaces that will be in the easement that you'll be voting on in the next article. So basically there are 3 articles here, all related to the Mary D. Stone. This one is the pass and repass over the driveway down to the playground and to the field. So it's allowing the public to go down and access the field. The primary parking for the field will be up at Town Hall. That's all the public spaces. But through through Article 25, you'll see that an easement would be granted for additional handicap parking spaces for the development, and through an agreement with the developer to enable residents who are handicapped to use those spaces if they want to access the playground or the field. So to get to those handicap spaces, you need to be able to come down on that driveway. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else with a question? So now we have an amendment. Which I really don't want to read again, but I believe all that happened was that 4,240 square feet, more or less, was inserted where it said 4,213.
Correct.
Mr. Go to the mic, please. Oh.
I just said agreed, move the question.
Oh, thank you. I don't think that's necessary, Norm. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll take that motion. They're not seeing any? All those in favor, raise their hands. With their paddles, excuse me. All those opposed? I'm used to saying that. Just hold up the paddles, red or green. So now we're back to the main motion with that substitution. All those in favor of the main motion, raise your paddles. All those opposed, it is a vote. Article 25. To see if the town meeting will vote to grant the permanent, non-exclusive parking and utility easement to Penrose Properties, LLC, or its designees for parking use, and to permit the installation of, connection to, and discharge of stormwater into a groundwater recharge system within that portion of land consisting of 3,752 square feet, more or less, and labeled proposed parking and utility easement. The easement area on a draft plan entitled Easement Plan dated March 11, 2020, and prepared by Penrose Properties LLC by Nish Engineering, a copy of which has been submitted to the town meeting members and is on file with the Auburn Town Clerk. Granting of this parking and utility easement shall be made upon such terms and conditions that the town manager shall solely determine what is in the best interest of the town, but which at minimum shall include a condition that Penrose Properties LLC and its designees, successors, and assigns shall be obligated to maintain in good condition and repair the easement area as needed from time to time without cost or expense to the town of Auburn. And further, that the Board of Selectmen and/or the town manager are authorized to execute any and all documents required by law for such conveyance, or act on anything relative thereto. Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 25 as printed in the warrant.
All those in favor?
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator. I have now been asked to move an amendment. I move to amend the motion for Article 25 by striking the words proposed parking and utilities easement and inserting in place thereof the words parking and drainage easement.
There is a second on that. And there is a second. Any questions on that? Not seeing any? Please raise your paddles if you're for it or against it. It's a majority vote. It passes. Article 26. Huh? Oh, back to the original motion, which you crossed off proposed parking and utility easements and put in parking and drainage. Is that correct, Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Okay.
Moderator.
Okay, that's the main motion now. All those in favor? All those opposed? It is a vote. Article 26 is see if the town meeting will vote to grant a permanent, non-exclusive landscaping and maintenance easement to Penrose Properties LLC or its designee consisting of 2,300 square feet, more or less, in label proposed landscaping and maintenance easement. The easement area on a draft plan entitled Easement Plan dated March 11, 2020 and prepared for Penrose Properties LLC by Niche Engineering, a copy of which has been submitted to town meeting members and is on file with the Auburn Town Clerk. Granting of this landscaping and maintenance easements shall be made upon such terms and conditions that the town manager shall solely determine are in the best interest of the town, but which at minimum shall include a condition that Penrose Properties, LLC, its designee, successors, and assigns shall be obligated to maintain in good condition and repair the easement area as needed from time to time, without cost or expense to the town of Auburn, and further that the Board of Selectmen and/or the town manager are authorized to execute any and all documents required by law for such a conveyance or act on anything relative thereto. Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 26 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? There is a second.
No amendment, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Any questions? Not seeing any? Would you hold up your paddles? Green for in favor, red for opposed. This again is a majority vote. So it passes. It is a majority vote. Thank you. Now I believe we're back to Article 13. Which is found on page 78. To see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate $150,000 for medical receipts within the general fund revenues of the Auburn School Department operating budget for the fiscal year 2021 to fund supplies and medical, therapeutic, and educational services for significantly disabled special needs students, as well as tuition and transportation to and from outside placements or within the district for special needs students, or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion? Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 13 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Second. There is a second. Are there any questions? Not seeing any then? Again, with the paddles, green for, red for against. Hold your paddles up. It's a majority. Okay, it passes. Thank you. Article 14. to see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate $7,117.80, which is the interest earned by the Auburn High School Gymnasium Health and Recreational Trust Fund, to offset school department costs at Auburn High School in support of community health and recreational activities at Auburn High School Gymnasium and related facilities and equipment, or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion on Article 14? Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 14 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Second. There is a second. Are there any questions? Not seeing any then? All those in favor of Article 14? Hold up your paddles. All those against? It is a vote. Article 15, to see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate $3,000 from McKinney Ventral receipts within the General Reserve Fund revenues to the Auburn School Department operating budget for the fiscal year 2021 to fund transportation for students to and from school who have become homeless during the fiscal year, or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 15 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Second. There is a second. Are there any questions? Not seeing any then? If you're in favor of it, hold up your green paddle. If you're opposed, hold up your red paddle. It's a majority vote. It passes. Article 16, to see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the superintendent of the Auburn Public Schools, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, to enter into memorandums of understanding, MOU, with the Department of Children and Family Services. The Department of Children and Families, the Executive Office of Health and Human Services, and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in order to obtain federal Title IV reimbursements as a result of foster care transportation being performed without appropriation of said reimbursements pursuant to the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 70, or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion? Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 16 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? There is a second. Any questions? Not seeing any. All those in favor of Article 16, raise your paddles, and if you're your green paddles, those opposed, your red paddles. It's a majority vote. Thank you. Yep. Article 17, which is a two-thirds vote, to see if the town meeting will vote to repurpose CIP funds by amending Article 3 of the May 2015 annual town meeting, Central Administration Building Rehab, account number 302016-581638 as follows. Office Administration Building to be now be used toward the procurement of a new district truck for the school department, or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 17 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? There is a second. Any questions? Oh.
Hi, my name is Russell Talisman. I'm in Precinct 2, and my question is what type of truck are they looking at buying? And I'm noticing on Article 18, another 3,800 going to a truck. Is that for the same truck?
Dr. Brunel?
Thank you. So yes, that is for the same truck, and it's going to be similar to the one that we currently have that won't pass inspection, and we use this truck to actually transport instruments out of state for competitions, and we use it for matters within the district as well. Welcome.
Thank you. Oh, Mr. Largess, you have a question?
Danny Lodges, Precinct 4. What happened to the windows? We voted on the windows. Did they not get replaced?
Correct. They have not. And currently, we are looking at whether, as part of the safety complex, whether we will continue to stay at the Randall building or perhaps move out. So similar to what we did when we were deciding whether or not to keep JB and Mary D, we did not put any monies but for emergency.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anybody else? Not seeing any, then we must be ready for the vote. Would you hold your paddles up? Green for red for against.
Two-thirds.
Oh, excuse me, this is a two-thirds. Thank you. Thank you. It's a two-thirds vote. So what I'm going to ask is for the people opposed to stand up first of all. No, nobody down there is opposed. Okay. Okay. Not seeing anybody opposed, I'm going to call it a two-thirds vote, and it passed. Thank you. Article 18 is also two-thirds. To see if the town meeting will vote to repurpose CIP funds by amending Article 17 of the May 2017 annual town meeting. Central Administration Building Rehab. Account number 302-014-581467 is as follows. Authorize the balance in this account of $3,862, which was originally appropriated for window replacement at the Central Office Administration Building, to now be used toward the procurement of a new district truck for the school department, or act on anything relative thereto. Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move town meeting vote to approve Article 18 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Second. There is a second. Any questions? Not seeing any then? If you're voting for this one, hold up your green or your red paddle. Green for, red.
Two-thirds.
What? Oh, this is another two-thirds. Okay? So with all those opposed, please stand up. Nobody has stood up. Therefore, I'll declare it a two-thirds vote, and it passed. Question 19. To see if the town meeting will vote to accept the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 5th C, to allow for the exemption of the real estate and personal estate belongings to or to be held in trust for the benefit of the incorporated organizations of veterans of any war in which the United States has been engaged, to the extent of $1,500,000. If used and occupied by such association, and if the net income from the property is used for charitable purposes, or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion, Mr. Baker?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 19 as printed in the warrant.
This is a majority. Are there any questions, first of all?
Second.
Question? Oh, the second. We had the second, no. All those in favor, raise their paddles. Off, against. Okay. And opposed, they raised their paddles already, so it is a vote, majority. To see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate $1,600 from general fund revenues for the purchase of Narcan or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion? Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 20 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? There is a second. Are there any questions? Yes.
Hi, Russell Talisman, Precinct 2 again. In reading this, $1,600 for Narcan. Drugs being a big problem, I'm just wondering if that's, not that I like to spend money, but if that's a significant amount to take care of all the problems that Auburn has.
Go ahead,
Are
Chief.
you lowballing this number and going to come to us later for more because Narcan's very expensive?
Essentially, where we are right now, we have enough Narcan to distribute to half of the police officers. So what happens at shift changes, they have to swap it off and give it to the oncoming officers. This will allow us enough to give it to everyone. So if they're working an overtime shift or if they're working a construction detail, they'll have it with them.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions? Not seeing any then? This is a majority vote. All those in favor or opposed, hold up your cards. It is a vote. Thank you. Article 21, to see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate $25,000 from general fund revenues for the care and maintenance of Julia Bancroft School Building or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion, Mr. Baker?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 21 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? There is a second. Any questions? Mr. Largess.
Danny Largess, Precinct 4. How many years are we going to carry these two schools?
Ms.
sunk
Jacobson.
thousands and thousands of dollars into these, and we don't have them anymore.
To answer the question, the Mary D. Stone School, with the approval of the 3 easement articles that you voted this evening, I want to thank you. That school should be closing by the end of this month. The closing is mid-June to late June. All the paperwork seems to be in order. Our attorney, Town Council Bob Hennigan, is working with the attorney for the developer, so the Mary D. Stone School will transfer hands within 2 weeks. The Julia Bancroft School is next in the pipeline for the state funding. And for those of you who may be not as familiar with the project, the Mary D. Stone School received a total of $18 million in state and federal tax credits to redevelop the school into 55 units of senior affordable housing. The Julia Bancroft School, per the state guidelines, is the next in the pipeline. They cannot be funded at the same time because they're both in the same town. So the Julia Bancroft School is now in the pipeline to apply for and hopefully receive similar funding that the Mary D. Stone received. That includes federal historic tax credits as well as state low-income housing tax credits. The Julia Bancroft School is going to be redeveloped into 60 senior affordable housing units. If we follow the same process that the Mary D. Stones followed, which is, again, it's a state and federal process. There are a lot of different pieces to assemble the financing package to do this. It should be approximately 1 year behind Mary D. Stone. Now, again, that being said, we anticipate that those funding sources will be approved over the coming year. COVID-19 could change that funding source. We don't know what the impacts are on either the federal or the state level when it comes to historic tax credits. Right now, the developer and the town, we're moving forward to get those credits, but they're going as quickly as possible. We did say from the very beginning that these projects take 2 to 3 years to get the funding, and we've been on target so far. If it wasn't for COVID-19, we would be pretty assured that we would be on target for the Julia Bancroft School coming on within a year. We're hoping that that continues and that we're here next year talking about closing out for the Julia Bancroft School.
Okay, so if they're going to rehab the whole building, why are we spending more money on maintaining the building?
The $25,000 is a reduction over last year's budget of $46,000. Last year's $46,000 covered both schools. That money includes money for insurance. The cost to insure buildings that are vacant is high, so we have to make sure that we have money for insurance. It also includes roof repairs. We're not doing any repairs on any portion of the building that will be demolished. We are trying to maintain any part of the building that will be renovated. They're trying to save the facade of the building and the front side pieces toward the front of Julia Bancroft. So if there's any type of roof or structural damage that occurs in the course of the year, we would want to make sure that we go in and get contractors to fix that so we don't cause any structural damage and jeopardize the rehabilitation of the project. I would tell you that other parts of that, the funding that's set aside may be used for drainage or any type of sewer or infrastructure issues that may occur. If that money does not need to be spent, we wouldn't do that, but we have to make sure it's there. For instance, we know there's some work that has to be done on the Mary D. Stone. It's our responsibility. They were our buildings. And there may be some work that had to be done on the outside. It may happen with Julia Bancroft, so we have to ensure that we can pay for insurance, maintenance, and repair until such time that we turn that facility over to the developer, hopefully within a year. Thank you.
Any other questions? Not seeing any then? This is another majority vote. So if you just raise your paddles, for or against. Thank you. Deb, one down there. Okay. It is a vote. Article 22, to see if the town meeting will vote to accept Massachusetts general laws, Chapter 41, Section 19H, which reads as follows: notwithstanding the limitation contained in Section 19G, in a city or town which accepts this section, the total amount of additional compensation payable to its clerk, who also serves as a member of the Board of Registers of Voters, shall not exceed $2,000. Or act on anything relative thereto. Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 22 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Second. There is a second. Are there any questions? Not seeing any then, this is another majority vote. All those in favor, raise your hand, paddles, excuse me. Thank you. All those opposed, you can raise your red paddles. It is a majority vote. Thank you. Article 23, to see if the town meeting will vote to amend Section 2.04 of the Auburn General Bylaws, entitled Presiding Officer, by adding a new subsection 2, which shall read as follows. 2.04, Presiding Officer, Section 2, on matters requiring a 2/3 vote by the statute, account needed not be taken unless the vote so declared is immediately questioned by 7 or more voters, or act on anything relative thereto. Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 23 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Second. There is a second. Are there any questions? Mr. Dufour, I think? It's tough with mask on.
Who was that masked man?
Yeah.
So, is there a specific reason that we're looking to do this right now?
Well, for one thing, we did try it out tonight, and it seemed to have worked. And just to, counting make it a lot easier for the counters. If they don't have to count as many, it would make the meeting shorter. Most of the two-thirds votes that I even can remember, for the most part, there were actually, for more or less than 10 people who were opposed to it. It was usually in single numbers under 5.
So, the concern I have is that the reason for votes that require the two-thirds majority, there's a reason behind it. And on a meeting-by-meeting basis, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. But I'm thinking of the future and the future town of Auburn when gentlemen, in the truest sense of the word, like Mr. Baker and Mr. Stencil, are not the moderators. I just am concerned about an ability to I had it in my head. I'm concerned down the road that the person in the position of moderator won't be as honorable a person as yourself, and that there's the ability in the future that might be an abuse. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I also really believe that there's an important reason for those two-thirds majorities, and that it just makes it, I'm sorry, I'm just drawing a blank. It's important to keep that and keep the integrity. That's what I was looking for, to keep the integrity of the vote. And so that's why I bring up the question and why I'll vote against it. But
well, I'm willing to ask town. Yeah. Yeah.
So in the future, just 7 people have to raise their hand.
Yeah.
So if it was something that they were against, if you just went with that,
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think, Tom, that the two-thirds votes is in the state laws. You know, I know in the book, Town Meeting Times, it explains where every two-thirds vote will have to be applied anyway, okay? And this is just to make sure if there's 7 people raise their hand, then we'll count them all. If less than 7 people raise their hand, I'll just declare it a vote. You know, I know what you're thinking, but I don't think that's going to happen, because you're going to have to change the Auburn general bylaws. Is that acceptable, Tom? Huh? I think Mr. Bergeron's next.
like I had been saying, I understand your rationale behind it, and if we do like we did tonight and take it on a town meeting by town meeting basis to do that, my concern with making this type of permanent change to the organization of the town, I'm concerned about the future with the integrity and with somebody potentially abusing the power that brings. And so I don't feel comfortable making that a permanent change. I voted for it tonight because I think it made sense, given the unusual circumstances, being able to expedite the meeting. But on a permanent basis and going forward, I'm not comfortable with it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, come to the mic, please.
Bruce Hopper, Precinct 1. Just to go along a little bit with what he was talking about, my only concern is the word immediately. That to me, again, what Mr. Dufour was saying, sort of opens the door, if you will, for a little scoundrelly behavior. I just question why we need the word immediately in there. I mean, either there's going to be somebody's going to question the vote or not, but the word immediately, again, to go on what he was saying, if you've got a moderator that, again, is not so gentlemanly, they can certainly say, I didn't hear anything immediately. So that's my only concern with respect to the warrant.
I plan to ask people, and it will probably be done in the future, to stand up so that there'll be no question about how many are for it or against it.
I understand that. Again, just to go back to the spirit, what was stated by Mr. Dufour, you're a gentleman, you're going to do that. I only have a question, and I only have a concern and a question about the word immediately.
Okay, the statute does say, however, that a town, if a vote so declared is immediately questioned by 7 or more voters, he shall verify it by polling the voters or by dividing the meeting, unless the town has a previous order bylaw provided another method.
All right, so
This
it's
is in the state law.
Okay.
It's in the state law.
Okay.
That's
All
why
right.
it's there.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor, raise your green paddles. All those opposed, your red ones. Okay. This is a majority vote, and a majority voted in favor of it. Thank you. I believe we're on to Article 24, 5, 6, 27. Article 27.
Can we call for a count?
It's a majority vote, Tom. It's not a two-thirds. This is for future two-thirds votes.
No, I understand that, but I don't have the benefit you have of looking out. I saw the majority of the people in my field of view had red paddles. I would just like to count. I have to agree. Second. Mr. Moderator, I question the vote.
We have counters? We have to get our counters ready.
Our 3 finance committee members to count.
Yeah.
And Ed Coleman,
I don't know the name. Mr. Coleman,
all the finance committee
all the finance committee
will be the counters.
will be the
Well, I don't
counters.
see them.
All those in favor, if you would stand with the green paddle showing to take the count. We're getting our counters in place now. Somebody got the cards? Okay, here's two.
39. And then you can add Yes.
Did you get his? Well, those that have opposed, please sit down, thank you. Those opposed, if you stand up with your red paddles, thank you. I don't really care. Forty-seven to what do you? Thank you for, please sit down. The vote is 47 in favor, 42 opposed. It's a majority vote. It is a vote. Mr. Bergeron,
I question the validity, Norm Bergeron, Precinct 1. I question the validity of the vote when you're taking a two-thirds majority vote, or you should be taking a two-thirds majority vote for a two-thirds majority question. Why not?
it's not in the state statutes as far as I know.
Well, let's
Is-
ask the counselor. Shouldn't it be a two-thirds majority vote for this reason?
This is a general bylaw,
Only zoning bylaws require two-thirds.
and only zoning bylaws require a two-thirds vote.
A general only requires a majority.
But
So no.
he said that's what he would have said, what I just said.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, Article 27, to see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate $25,000 from the sewer retained earnings to replace the sewer channel grinder in the Pinrock pump station, or act anything relative thereto. Mr. Baker.
I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 27 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second? You got one? You have it, okay. Any questions on that? Not seeing any? Although, would you raise your paddles? If you're for, green. If you're against, red. We have one over the other place. Okay, thank you. It is a majority vote. Article 28, to see if the town meeting will vote to amend Article 16 of the Article 16 of the 2004 Fall Town Meeting as follows. Delete the balance of funds, $16,858.45, to install a biofilter air filtration system in the Pinrock pump station and add $658.45 to replace the sewer channel grinder at the Pinrock Pump Station, or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 29 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? There is a second. 28. We're on 28.
Not reading
We'll
well.
start again. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to amend Article 16 of the 2004 Fall Town Meeting as follows. Delete the balance of funds at $16,858.45 to install biofilter air filtration system at the Pinrock Pump Station, and add $16,858.45 to replace the sewer channel grinder at the Pinrock Pump Station, or act on anything relative thereto.
My apologies. I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 28 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? There is a second. Any questions? Not seeing any questions, those? All those in favor, hold up your green or red paddles and we'll see. Okay, thank you. It is a vote. Article 29, to see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the borrowing of $300,000 to replace the sewer main located under the Bancroft Street Bridge of the Massachusetts Turnpike, or act on anything relative thereto. Mr. Baker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 29 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? There is a second. Are there any questions? Not seeing any then? Would you hold up your cards again? Oh, wait a minute. This is a 2/3. Right, thank you. This is a 2/3. Why don't we have the people stand up who are against it first of all? I don't see anybody out here. And there's nobody out there. So therefore, it is a vote, a 2/3 vote. Article 30, to see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate $3,000 from the expendable trust cemetery perpetual care account to replace hazardous trees that were removed, or act on anything relative thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town meeting vote to approve Article 30 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Second. There's a second. Why don't you stay standing up, Mr. Baker? Any questions on that? All those in favor, raise their hands. We'll go it that way. All those opposed, raise their hands. It is a vote. Mr. Baker has another motion.
I move to dissolve.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Thank you very much for coming. This is really a different experience.